that he used to own. Yeah. And he was saying, yeah, you know, doesn't do great in third. You know, the you know, fluid leaks from the brakes, and watch that left rear tire, it squeaks. Do you know what I mean? He was telling me, look, you'll have nights that go great, you'll have nights where you don't know what you're doing out there, but at the end of the week you'll find that it usually breaks in your favor. And I thought, that's a very dispassionate, practical, I mean, this is Johnny Carson saying it, and if he can say that, you know, he's probably the only one who could speak that way about Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. No one else would speak about it so humbly. You know?
We're going to watch now several clips coming out of Late Night.
Okay. The Finland experience was one of my favorite things to ever befall my show, or to ever happen to me, because it was completely organic and I think unique to my show. In a nutshell, we started making jokes about different countries. We made a few jokes about Finland and got a big reaction, a ton of mail from Finland. We started to notice that there were a lot of people in the audience. I do an audience warm-up where I go out into the crowd and I perform and I talk to people. Night after night, I'd say, where are you from? And they would say, we're from Helsinki. We're from Finland. And so we looked into it and we found out that our show was on in Finland and it had become kind of a thing. It had become a hit for reasons I still can't explain. But a lot of people in that country, obviously, they speak English. They have a weird sense of humor. And then someone pointed out to us that, by the way, you look a lot like our president, this woman, Tarja Halonen. We started making fun of that on the show. It turns out, as we were doing that, Tarja Halonen was embroiled in a close re-election campaign. Our episodes were airing in Finland days after they aired in the United States. As a joke, we started making pro-Tarja Halonen ads that were in Finnish, with me reading phonetically, and making these preposterous ads where I'm, you know, ice fishing and catch a fish and say a slogan for Tarja Halonen. These would air in the country, I think in prime time, 3 days later. Then the opposition started complaining that I was influencing the presidential campaign. This made it into the American media. The American media started writing about it. It became a whole thing. Tarja won. We think possibly because I intervened. I decided I must go to Finland and greet my people. I announced it. We flew to Finland and were there for 3 or 4 days, and I had a state meeting with the president, Tarja Halonen. The craziest thing was that we didn't know what was going to happen when we got to the airport. We had no idea. We show up at the airport, thousands of people there, screaming, impromptu press conference, into a van, fans going nuts, media camped outside the hotel, kids wherever we went. It was this organic, insane event, and I ended up giving a lot of speeches to crowds, where you know, and I don't know. So the whole thing, we ended up, we were at the embassy. It was great, and so we made a show out of the whole thing.
Roll tape. Here is Late Night Goes to Finland. Here it is.
This is the sisu thing.
Sisu is the word for fortitude. Yeah.
Yeah. And after the sauna, you take a sausage, something to eat, something salty, because you lose your body minerals here during this process.
Well, I find after I've been hanging around with a lot of naked men, the first thing I want to do is bite into a sausage.
Right. It's a weird thing.
It's sausage time. Hey, fellas, that was a lot of fun. Let's go chew on some sausage. This is not one of the people that sent me a letter, but we just passed this door, and I'm sorry, I have to meet Force Fagerstrom. That's too short. Please. I'm just gonna wait. I don't care. I don't care how long it takes. I've got to meet Force Fagerstrom. Oh, he's not home. Fagerstrom! Get out here! I know you're... Fagerstrom, I know you're in there! I know you're in there, Fagerstrom! I'm sorry. Let's say this. Let's get out of here.
Please welcome Mr. Conan O'Brien!
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this award for looking like your president. Thank you very much.
But we don't know what the award was.
No, that's they took that off of a subway. It's an advertisement. They framed it and gave it to me. I think it's most interesting television performer in Finland.
Ah.
So I get a lot of respect in that country.
So it's now your second favorite country.
That's my first.
Is it
Screw
really?
America. What have you guys done for me?
They haven't given you a state dinner.
No, what the
or
hell?
invited you to
No,
come.
I'm still
Not even
waiting.
invited you to come to Washington.
No, I'm still waiting.
All right. Chicago was important because what, you'd spent some time there and you'd learned to perform there.
Yeah, when I first got started out, I did a stage show with Robert Smigel, the famous Robert Smigel, and Bob Odenkirk
Right.
from Mr. Show, and we all started out there. And that was where I got my first real taste of performing. I'd done a lot of improv before then, but we did a stage show that really actually wasn't that successful, but I loved it. Sometimes it's when you do something and you love it, even if it's a failure, it tells you something. So we always wanted
What
to come
did it
back.
tell you?
Get out of the business.
No,
no,
I mean,
it told me...
seriously that there was some sense of evolution of saying, boy, this is...
You know what I always knew? I always knew, even when everybody else in 1993, when I was doing the show, was thinking, why is he there? I remembered thinking, this is interesting to me. Every time I go out in front of an audience, I enjoy myself. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't, in the beginning, it didn't look like I was, but I enjoyed being in front of audiences. And Chicago told me that. That was 1988. Tiny theater, Victory Gardens Theater, and I loved everything about it. I loved being backstage. I loved the bad food. I loved the late hours, and that's when. So, long story short, we decided to go back. We announced we were coming, and that we'd be doing shows in the Chicago Theater, which is just the beautiful, like one of the palaces, you know, American palaces,
right.
you know, for theater and live events. And the place sold out instantly. I mean, we couldn't scratch the surface. We couldn't meet the demand. And these people lined up. It was raining. It was cold for a lot of the week, and they would stand there to get in. And best audiences ever. I mean, they were fantastic.
Roll tape. This is Late Night in Chicago.